Hi guys, it's that time of week again. This week we're delving into the world of Mario Puzo. I've never read a Puzo novel in my entire life. I've heard of him. I saw this many times in Waterstones before I actually picked it up and bought it. And before I started reading it, I had a chat on some groups that I'm in on Facebook, some book groups and literature discussion groups. Some of the readers are telling me that this isn't Mario Puzo's best work. Argue it's not his greatest. It's okay, but it's not it's not his best. But then all the critics, all the reviews and stuff that I read of it say it's his masterpiece. So I always like to take the opinion of readers over professional critics. But that said, I read into it. I read the book. It's an enjoyable story. It is quite enjoyable. If you've seen the film and you've read the book, you will know that the film followed the events of the book it stayed quite loyal. It's quite true to the source material. But Puzo's got a habit of revealing an event. So say someone is murdered by an opposing mafia family. He will reveal that fact. And then he will go back and describe the events that led up to that, the actual final moments of that person. And that makes things quite shocking, quite abrupt. And I think in that sense he must capture what it's like to live in that world, the mafia world, quite well, because it must be quite abrupt. Things must just happen and random, and be surprising. And I think if I hadn't seen the film, some of the events in this book would have shocked me to my core, but I have seen the film. So this book is what they used to adapt the first and the second, or part of the second, Godfather films. The Godfather 3 was just a complete fabrication. It was completely made by the film writers. There was no book. And it is very enjoyable. You feel an attachment to Michael Corleone. Obviously this book details his rise from sort of family outsider all the way up to Don, to head of the family, to criminal mastermind, if you will. And you feel quite an attachment to some of the characters, particularly Johnny Fontaine, particularly to Michael Corleone, even Sonny Corleone in many respects. But I feel like there's not so much, it's a very gritty book, very, very direct. There's not much poetry in it, if that makes sense. I like my books to have a bit of passion, a bit of passionate language, but I think maybe that was deliberate. I think maybe he's trying to portray the mafia underworld as not very nice, not very poetic, it's gritty, it's nasty, people get hurt. I think that's maybe what he was trying to capture when he wrote this, and maybe that's why he wrote it. So it's so direct, the language is so direct. He will just tell you someone's dead, outright, dead, but body was laying there on the slab, dead, shot in the head, blood sprayed. It's quite detailed, quite grisly language. There's no poetry, there's no metaphors really used. And so it's very, very interesting to read. Go ahead and pick it up if you haven't read it already. It's definitely worth a read. And if anything these people have been telling me, the readers have been telling me, is true, Mario Puzo's got even better work out there. So go ahead and read that. That was The Godfather by Mario Puzo. I'll see you in the next one.